You're watching Pulse for the 3rd or 4th of October, depending on when this goes up, and it's time for some Diablo news. This week there wasn't really very much of anything going on. I would say that the biggest news is probably that the long-awaited Diablo III Beta Key competitions have finally started popping up here and there. Other than that though, we have some talk about South Korea gambling laws and their effect on Diablo 3's release date in the country. We have a look at a possible Diablo 3 speed hack, a cool Machinima Tool, and more. Let's get to it. First up in our Diablo news, we've got something pretty interesting. A report was submitted recently to the Korean National Assembly, and they put forth the idea that using the real money auction house is pretty much like gambling, and this is only because of the random loot drops in the game. So as controversial as Diablo 3's real money auction house has seemed to all of us, it might well be even worse in South Korea. Now, Mike Morhaime, Blizzard's CEO, did have something to say about this. He said that Diablo 3's real money auction house lacked one of the key parts of gambling: risk. In Diablo 3 you're not risking anything, you're just investing your time. It's an important distinction, he says. So apparently, despite Mike Morhaime's claims and protests, the guys at the South Korean National Assembly are still going forward, and they say that Diablo 3 still breaks Article 1 of the gaming industry promotion law. Now, if the game is in fact refused classification in South Korea, it would be pretty bad for Blizzard, but they could always just disable the real money auction house for the Korean version of the game. That could work, right? Either way, it's not a good thing for Blizzard, but people are saying that it's good that it was brought up now and not 6 months later. So what do you guys think about this? Is playing Diablo 3 and using the real money auction house actually like gambling? Or are the South Koreans being a little bit too strict here? You can read more about this below, courtesy of the Korea Times and Voodoo Extreme. Next up, tying in with a recent mention of the Demon Hunter's hatred regeneration changes, Bashiok recently responded to a question about the monk's mantras. Specifically, why they need to be refreshed instead of simply toggled like auras. He mentioned that they're toying around with making mantras more of an active ability. Right now they're just a really short duration buff, and I suppose sometimes it wouldn't really feel worth that skill slot, or as Bashiok says, it just doesn't feel cool. How do they want to change it? Well, what they think would be cool is that when you hit the button to cast the mantra, you'd get a super mega buff, or effect, for a short time, and then the buff would lower to its normal level after that. Apparently some of these changes can already be seen on the official website, but they're not reflected in-game just yet. And we gotta keep in mind that this is all just testing. It might not actually happen this way. The two examples given are Mantra of Conviction, where you recite a mantra that causes all enemies within 20 yards to take 20% additional damage. This lasts 120 seconds, and additional damage is doubled for the first 3 seconds. So that last little bit is the change that they were talking about. And then Mantra of Healing. Recite a mantra that causes you and all allies within 40 yards to gain increased life regeneration by 106.4 life per second. This lasts 120 seconds, and life regeneration is doubled in the first 3 seconds. So it all sounds pretty good to me. Bashiok does mention finally that this gives mantras a more use-orientated flavor, and that they don't just feel like short duration buffs that don't really give you very much and you have to keep remembering to refresh them. One thing that is important to note is that Blizzard don't want to have long duration buffs or toggles, because then they may well just be passives. So what do you guys think about this? Honestly, in my playthrough with the monk, I didn't really even use the mantras, and I suppose that could be because I didn't have enough skill slots for them, but when I got to a certain point, it felt more like a chore than anything else, actually using the mantras. So if you are interested, if you are in fact going to be playing a monk, you can read more about this below. Next up, 2 quick mentions that you can actually check out right here on YouTube. First up, a video has popped up that apparently shows a Diablo 3 speed hack in action. There's been a lot of debate about this. Is it real? Is it fake? Is it just some really good video editing? In my opinion, it looks like the real deal, and that's pretty scary. The only good thing about this is that it is appearing now while Blizzard is still beta testing the game, so hopefully they can do something about this before the game actually releases. It seems like a fan has posted this on the official Battle.net forums, and he did get a blue reply. Basically, the blue poster just said thank you and said that if you want to report any cheats or hacks, just send it to hacks@blizzard.com. I guess that's some pretty sound advice. But still, if it's true, as I said, it's quite scary that there are already hacks like this out there. Next up, we have something much more interesting and something on a much lighter note. A YouTube user named Malu05A has created a Machinima Tool for Diablo 3. While he didn't really create it from scratch, he ported the World of Warcraft Machinima Tool over to Diablo 3. He says there are a few issues with the camera and the weird rotation system that they use, but overall, as you can see in this video, he's done some pretty cool stuff with it. Now, it isn't out for public use just yet, but I urge you all to check the video out because it is really cool, and I suppose it can't help to support the guy. Now for the piece of news, or I suppose update that you've all been waiting for. Let's have a look where you can find some Diablo 3 Beta Key giveaways. So let's start with the more interesting ones. Jesse from over at OMFG Catter has a nice competition up where you must submit a video of you doing an impression of Deckard Cain. He does say that most of them will be given away at random to the people who submit entries, but at least one will be given away to the weirdest or most creative entry. So that's pretty cool. And then also right here on YouTube, Hunter Starcraft's giving a couple of keys away. All you need to do for his is just comment on his video. The guys and girls over at BlizzPlanet have another contest coming up, which is starting on the 5th of October. The Chinese website Diablo3.cc has 2 beta key contests running at the moment. MMOGA.de has 3 keys to give away, but that's ending on October the 4th, so you better hurry with that one. Force Strategy Gaming right here on YouTube is giving away 7 keys. His giveaway ends on October the 7th, and all you need to do is follow him on Twitter to enter. And then lastly, Diablo fans are giving away a couple of keys, and what they want you to do is check out a screenshot and provide a fitting caption for it. Now, a lot of these are recurring contests, so you should check back at all those websites as often as you possibly can if you're desperate. There were a couple that had already been completed, so I didn't bother to include them here, and I have no doubt that over the next few days a lot more will come up. I don't know if I'm going to be having one of my own yet. I'll know in the next couple of days or weeks. I'm not really sure, but you can keep checking back here for something like that, possibly. So if you know of any that I haven't included here, you can feel free to leave them in the comment section below, and I'll add them to the links below the video. It's always nice helping your community members out. But that's going to be it for this video. You can check a couple of smalls out below, which I didn't really feel were worth talking about. As I said at the start of the video, the Diablo 3 news has been pretty slim pickings this week. So remember to leave a comment about absolutely anything I spoke about this week. Like the video, favorite it, share it with your friends, and subscribe. Most importantly though, happy Diablo 3 Beta Key giveaways. Finally.